Last time on Ace Attorney.
What the diddly darn fuck was that? How is a guy able to just walk right in front of a camera and nothing gets captured other than his fucking belly? Oh my god! Hello everyone, and welcome back to Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney Rice from the Ashes. Now, my voice is a little bit shot from yesterday, so, if it sounds a bit off, bear with me. It's, my vocal cords haven't been doing great today, so, yeah. Man, what a fucking episode. I mean, I already talked, about why I love this case so much at the end of the last episode, so I'm not gonna get into that. But, alright, fuck, where the fuck is this gonna go? Alright, so, we're bringing Marshall in for questioning, and we're probably gonna try to peg him on the fingerprints, right? I mean, sure, it's pretty good, but I don't know, like, yeah, I see that, but I don't see what's our end game. How is it gonna proceed after that? Definitely gonna have something to do with SL9, so, since we definitely just got the, also, yeah, we just got the SL9 file, and I just remember that Emma ran away, so I wonder, is she gonna be there with us during the trial, or is she just gone for now? I don't know, let's just get straight into it and find out, okay? But yeah, if at the pace we're going, we should finish this game next week. Because I'll finish this trial this week, and then next week I should be able to do both the investigation and the trial. So, yeah. That's exciting. Finishing, you know, the first time I'll be finishing a game all the way through on the channel. Woo! Cause for celebration, that one. February 24th. 12:14 p.m. District Court, Courtroom number 9. The court will now reconvene for the trial of Miss Lana Skye. Emma didn't come back. Alright, that's that question answered. Now on to the million others. Allow me to call the next witness to the stand. The officer in charge of guarding the evidence room on the day of the crime. There he is. Witness, please state your name and occupation. Me, partner? Oh, I'm just a man same as you, wandering the trails of civilization. Occasionally helping the elderly cross intersections when needed. Yes, we get it. Oh, I know! You're a patrolman! As for my name, if you'd listen hard enough, you can hear the howling wind calling it out. To be exact, it's Jake Marshall, Your Honor. Howling wind? I've never heard Edgeworth described that way before. Now, Mr. Marshall, let me ask you something. You're in charge of guarding the evidence room on the day the crime took place. Is this correct? According to the papers, partner. What do you mean? A desperado's soul is as boundless as the desert sands. No paper can sum it up. Maybe it's best we just get on with this quickly. Please share with us your testimony of the day of the crime. Oh boy, this is already going great. In plain old English. Alright. Day of the crime. My job is to keep a wary eye on that bone orchard. They say I was supposed to make rounds there 3 times a day, but that ain't my style. Besides, the room's protected by 2 security cameras anyways. If I remember right, I was at a street side saloon the time it went down. I'm just an innocent traveling man, so if you're out of ammo, it's time to hit the trail. Really, dude? I can't say I particularly care for your attitude. I can't say I care for your beard, but you don't see me complaining. Wait a minute. What do you mean by 2 security systems?
I mean, the security cameras and the ID card reader. I reckon even a cowpoke like you knows about those.
Yeah, well, what about the fingerprint-activated locks on the evidence lockers?
Fingerprint-activated locks? What kind of newfangled doohickeys are those?
He's not being very helpful, is he? He's not that good with machines or with following orders.
Everyone's got the weakness, don't they say, not Mr. Prospector?
This one seems like trouble! Okay, Mr. Wright, he's all yours! Whip him into shape! Alright, the day of the crime. Okay, I have a trump card up my sleeve, so I best keep my cool. Before I use it, though, I better up the ante. Right, get him cornered before I pull out the, I really want to press him on this, because... Wow! Out of ammo, Officer Marshall? He means evidence, I'm guessing?
That's right, partner, or as you'd call it, evidence. If you plan to pin me to this crime, then you better draw. Otherwise, you're just wasting my time. My steel horse is waiting to carry me back west into the sunset.
One thing seems clear. Despite being responsible for guarding the evidence room, the witness doesn't appear to have seen anything.
Texas don't take orders from anyone. Everyone knows that.
Apparently your superiors don't. Okay, I haven't... Okay, this is what we've seen before. How exactly did you keep an eye on the evidence room?
I just made sure nothing moved in the security camera monitor. That room so still. Even time dies there. I was just a caretaker when he entered the recordings.
You entered them?
Videos of nothing aren't that useful. When the time would come, I'd erase the tape.
If nothing unusual is recorded, tapes are to be erased within 6 hours.
Each time I'd erase a tape, it felt like I was erasing a part of my life.
This guy has flair for the dramatic, but it isn't gonna do him any good. So, in actuality, you don't physically enter the evidence room. Interesting. Meaning there was no reason for his handprints to be there. But you made your rounds on the day of the crime, right?
Ain't you heard a word I said, partner? I told you that ain't my style.
I'm afraid I don't understand.
No desperado I know lets rules get in his way.
No desperados I know join the police force. Well, one of them. So, Officer Marshall, on the day of the crime...
Just between you and me, I didn't set foot in the evidence room that day.
And there was a rubber glove stuck in the victim's locker. Do you know anything about that?
Sorry, partner. Can't say I do. I haven't been in that crypt in weeks.
How does this guy avoid being fired? It's my thoughts exactly. Like, it's like fucking gets called up to Gant's office. Officer Marshall, please, I would like to have a word with you.
Sheriff Gant, it's a pleasure, truly. Would you like to come down to Saloon and have a cerveza with me?
Aren't you supposed to be watching the security cameras, good boy? I mean, anyone can sneak into the evidence room right now.
I don't follow the rules. I'm a desperado, you see. Riding off into the sunset, shaving my beard with a knife.
I'm afraid I don't understand. Oh, fuck. Shit, no! I was monologuing, right? I was monologuing! And you... God, fuck it. You used to be a detective, so you've used the evidence room in the past, correct?
Of course. Back in the day, my locker was a gold mine of evidence.
And yet you didn't know about the fingerprint locking mechanism?
Sorry, partner. I ain't good at machines. I couldn't even tell you how a bike works.
That's quite, incredible. Considering you can see every single moving part. The sensors on the locker handles cannot be seen. It's well known that some detectives are unaware of their presence. Really? Detectives Look, Gumshoe knows about it, and I hardly doubt there are many detectives more ignorant than him. Now that he mentions it, Detective Gumshoe said something like that too. At any rate, it doesn't seem that is relevant to the crime. Can you tell us what you were doing when the crime took place?
If I remember right, it was on the street side saloon the time it went down.
What were you doing in a place like that?
I was eating spaghetti. Not even Angel Star steak lunches can beat the parlor's Volone sepia pasta.
Do you mean to tell us you abandoned your police duty to eat some noodles?
Not all desperados eat tacos, partner. Little do they know I'm half Italian.
The fuck? That's not what I meant. I hope this has at least taught you a lesson. That's strange. This is usually where Edgeworth says, "Did you not want a raise this year?" True. Alright. You're just an innocent traveling man? Let me tell you, I'm not out of ammo yet, partner. Objection! Officer Marshall, doesn't it strike you as odd? That is, you being called to testify like this. After all, you weren't in the security room at the time of the crime.
And yet you dragged me down here. Explain yourself, partner.
I really like Marshall, okay? I'm saying it, I like him. It's quite simple. You left a very large trail behind at the scene. So draw! Or to be exact, a handprint.
Listen real good, partner. Like I said, I'm the caretaker of that crypt. I pay my respects, that is. I make the rounds, about once a month. It's only natural my prints would be there.
I only wish it were, officer. But you see, your fingerprints were covered in blood.
Now hold on there, partner. Don't make me draw that there big iron on my hip.
Witness, stop threatening to shoot Mr. Wright! What is the meaning of this? Your blood-stained fingerprints were at the crime scene. The blood was wiped away, however. A luminol test clearly revealed this. Well, Officer Marshall?
It seems to me there ain't a person in this room with a head on his shoulders.
I take it you have an explanation then, Officer Marshall? About the blood-stained handprints? Very well, you may begin your testimony about the handprints found at the scene of the crime. Blood-stained handprints.
Like I said, it's only natural for my fingerprints to be in that evidence room. One of them just happened to be the same place that blood-stained handprint. The murderer touched the locker where my fingerprint was by chance. The blood stain and the fingerprint are completely unrelated. Or didn't you know the murderer was wearing gloves? See, I had nothing to do with it.
The witness's explanation appears valid, although there's room for doubt.
Life wouldn't be fun without any doubt, partner.
It's fun doing the cowboy voice. The defense may now cross-examine the witness. This guy's hiding something, I can feel it. Now's my chance to prove it. That's because you, how did you put it, pay your respects once a month?
Yeah, that's right. That and one more thing. That locker happens to be mine.
What? What do you mean? Oh, buddy! Buddy! No! You didn't have! But it's so nice of you to hand me the noose on which I shall hang you. if you recall on that video, after that man, dressed up as, what was it? Detective Goodman exited the room. Somehow, a piece of cloth ended up hanging outside of a locker. When the camera looked at the locker, there was nothing there. The camera turned. The guy dressed as Goodman slipped under the camera, and then when the camera turned back to the exit, the man was out of the room, and a piece of cloth was sticking out of the locker. Meaning that whoever detective was dressed up as Detective Goodman opened that locker at the scene of the crime. And as a result, it must be, and since the light wasn't on, that must be their locker. And this man just admitted that it's his. Oh, it feels so good to be alive. Oh, Edgeworth, if you knew where I was going with this, you would be so proud of me. Alright, Phoenix, pull up the video right now.
I mean what I said. That's the locker I used when I was a detective. The locker I still use. And that's in there now, though, in a heap of broken dreams.
Oh, all that's in there now. I see.
It'd be strange if my print's wearing all over that locker.
Apparently his fingerprint data was never removed from that locker's programming. He must have been using the fingerprint lock all the time without ever knowing it. Right. That's good. Right, completely unrelated. So he says. Unrelated?
They're as different as night and day. Kinda like cereal and cereal. One's got to do with breakfast, and the other's a type of murderer.
He's right! Something seemingly alike! Although seemingly alike, they're totally different! I don't see what homonyms have to do with this. Judge is a small brain.
Well, didn't you know the murderer is wearing gloves?
How did you know that?
I may be a loner, but still do my job. I keep up on the reports.
There were bloodstains at the scene, though thought to be left by the murderer. That's right. It was found on Detective Gumshoe's locker. However, no fingerprints were detected on that handprint. Oh yeah, I think we tried that too. So that would mean the murderer wearing gloves happened to place their hand on top of Officer Marshall's fingerprints.
That's the only logical conclusion, partner. Are you starting to get the picture, partner?
The picture? No, but I got the video.
The seal of blood in the desert, it's just food for the buzzards. There's only one reality, and that's this.
Security tape.
So long as my trail isn't there, you can't say otherwise.
Why are you doing that? What are you doing? You've handed me the rope, and now you're teaching me how to tie the knot? This isn't getting us anywhere, Mr. Wright. Please consider carefully where you're going with this cross-examination. Yes, Your Honor. Now then, continue your testimony, Officer Marshall.
Too bad it wasn't me in that video, partner.
I disagree. What do you mean by that?
You want to tie me to this crime, isn't that right, partner? If so, that video is the only direct evidence you have.
But that video is next to useless. It's full of blind spots. Blind spots? Places you can't see. You know, as in spots that are blind spots. Get a grip, Judge. Camera's panning back and forth. The floor isn't shown. If someone was familiar with the camera's position, they could leave the room without being caught on tape. We don't have time for your speculations, Mr. Wright. Well, Mr. Wright, if you could show us evidence in this video that indicates Officer Marshall is present, please do now! Finally! Very well. Allow me to lead the way, officer. To the gallows.
Tread carefully, Mr. Wright, or you might wind up being the one taking the short drop and the sudden stop.
And now then, let's have another look at the video. I don't know where all this fucking, show us the incriminating evidence or whatever. Oh, and there's health at risk. Great. Yeah, honestly, I don't know where all these fucking, news jokes are coming from. I don't know, they're just coming to me. What can I say? And right there. Bringing our attention back to the security camera is a mistake I'm afraid you'll soon not forget, Officer Marshall.
The days are short in Texas, so are our tempers. Could you sum up what you have to say in 8 words or less?
Very well. You can clearly be seen in this video.
Exactly 8 words. Not bad, partner.
The key lies in a certain locker shown in the video. That locker with the white cloth sticking out? That was the witnesses, I believe. Now then, let's rewind the video a bit. Oh my god! This is like the 15th time we've seen this godforsaken video, and every time it's just as slow. Oh, the white cloth! It's gone! What's the meaning of this, Officer Marshall? When the crime took place, the white cloth wasn't there. Then it suddenly appeared. There's only one explanation. Officer Marshall, you were in the evidence room at the time of the crime. What's more, you opened your locker when the camera was turned away. Order, order! It would seem that—
Hold your horses. Sorry, partner, but you got the wrong man. So what if my locker was open? That don't mean I'm the one who opened it. The murderer needed to hide something, so he opened the locker and stuck it in. It's not my fault he happened to choose mine. Why is everyone staring at me like I'm a wanted man?
That is because you might just be. This guy isn't just playing dumb. He really doesn't know. I hate to rain on your parade, but you're the only person who can open that particular locker.
Rain don't come often out in the Wild West. Oh yeah? I call you, Buff. You say I opened that locker, now prove it.
Oh shit, what did I click? Fuck, that was my bad. Where is it? Where's Gumshoe's account?
Fingerprints sensor?
We talked about this earlier today, didn't we? The lockers can only be opened by the detectives they belong to.
What kind of crazy talk is this?
Well, Detective Gumshoe did mention something about this. Hey, case locks aren't that obvious. There are even some people on the force that don't know about the fingerprint locks. Oh my god. So, Sheriff, what do you have to say in 8 words or less?
I only got 1 word for you, partner. No!
Certainly dramatic. Order, order, order! Witness, explain yourself!
If this is a joke, it's the...
Oh, fuck, I went into my Edgeworth voice. Fuck, okay, collect myself.
If this is a joke, it's the worst I've heard.
I assure you, this is no joke, Officer Marshall. Now then, please tell us what you were doing in the evidence room at the time of the crime. Ole! Please answer the question. What is he now, a bullfighter? That's right, Officer Marshall. I believe we can figure out the rest from here. We can? Have a look at these floor plans. There's no place for someone to hide in the evidence room. Yet Officer Meekins didn't see Officer Marshall. If that's so, then where was the witness?
It seems Mr. Wright has an answer. That's right. The only possible...
This is just...
Tell them, Nayagi!
This is just fucking Tell him, Nagi, all over again. What the fuck, Edgeworth? You know you're smart, so tell him yourself. Don't delegate it over to me every single time. Well then, let's hear it. Shit. Where was Officer Marshall at the time of the crime? Boop. Officer Marshall was standing right here. So, Officer Meekins didn't notice him standing there? That's almost as credible as Meekins' warp theory.
Your chamber's empty, partner. Better reload.
Now they're what? Oh, I clicked the wrong spot. Fuck. Fuck yeah, in the video, that it's just that the way the image, not the video, is shot, like the flashback image, it makes it look like they're in the opposite order. Like, I messed up. Officer Marshall is standing right here. There, but that's where Detective Goodman was. See? In this photo, it looks like Goodman. It looks like they're standing in the opposite way that they were in the video, which I don't know. It's kind of weird. Correct, unless the man wasn't Detective Goodman. I believe the victim in this video is Officer Marshall. It was you dressed up like Detective Goodman. But that's preposterous. Officer Meekins witnessed the detective at the crime scene. Once he saw the man's face, he'd know for sure. May I point out, though, that Officer Meekins did not know Detective Goodman. He also testified about the man's reaction when confronted. I entered the evidence room and asked him to show me his ID card, sir. Yes, and how did Detective Goodman respond? He suddenly pulled a knife at me! Something about the officer's story puzzled me. If the man had his ID card, why didn't he just show it? Yes, he would have needed to enter the evidence room, so he must have been carrying it. The answer is simple. He couldn't show it. As you can see, Detective Goodman's picture is on his ID card. Oh, I get it! If he showed that, his cover would have been blown. Officer Meekins would have realized that man wasn't Detective Goodman. Do you have anything to say to this, Officer Marshall?
You've got quite an imagination, partner. We got a term for that. It's called circumstantial evidence.
Circumstantial evidence? He's still denying it.
You're gonna have to do better than that to break a detective. Unless you have hard evidence proving I dressed up as the victim.
I can't say I particularly care for your uncooperative disposition.
I can't say I care for your beard, but you don't see me complaining.
Well, Mr. Wright, do you have any evidence proving this beyond the shadow of a doubt? Please do, I want this man sentenced to life! That Officer Marshall dressed up as a victim? Well, oh my god, I don't have anything like that.
I can see the fear in your eyes, partner. Seems you're the one who couldn't take the desert heat.
This can't be happening. It's so obvious he's the one. What can I do? Oh? Ooh? Best boy? No! No! Edgy! You can't do this! I already named the last episode Best Boy Strikes Again! I can't name this episode Best Boy Strikes Again! That's ridiculous! Edgeworth, I love you so much. It looks like your lack of experience has finally been exposed. I'll pass on to you what someone told me when I was just starting out. When you've run into a wall with no place to go, return to the basics. The basics? For me, that would be what Mia used to tell me. Phoenix, try thinking outside the box. Right, don't try to, like, prove your conclusion. Assume that your conclusion is true, and then, go from the Like, act like your assumption is true, and then work backwards from it and figure out if it is true, then what exactly does that mean? I shouldn't look for proof that Officer Marshall was in disguise. But rather, I should look for evidence that came about because he was in disguise. Why do you think this locker was open in the first place? What do you mean? To put away the disguise, of course. There's no reason for Officer Marshall to open his locker at the time of the crime. Unless he had to put away his disguise before he exited the room. Yet he did, despite the chance it might be discovered later, as it had been. Which means he didn't originally plan to open his locker. Oh, maybe that. So why did he have to? According to the defense's argument, Officer Jake Marshall dressed up as Detective Goodman on the day of the crime. Then, after the crime was committed, he opened his own locker for some unknown reason. The fact that a white cloth is sticking out of the locker seems to indicate that he opened it in order to put the cloth inside. So, just what exactly is this piece of cloth? Perhaps the video is the key to all our unanswered questions. I don't have any evidence, so this video is my only shot. Very well, let's take yet another look at the security tape. After committing the crime, the witness opened the locker to put away the white cloth. Please show us why the witness had to open the locker. Oh, I get it now. The blood. I love how clearly it's shown. It's right there. His original plan was to just go in, grab the stuff, get out. If anyone asks, the security cameras and the ID both confirm that it was Bruce Goodman. However, he cut what's his face? Meekins, and as a result got blood all over his disguise, which means he had to get rid of it because, you know, probably would have looked kind of sus for him to be walking around the police department covered in blood. Take that! For some reason, you disguised yourself as Detective Goodman and entered the evidence room, though I don't know what end yet. However, something unexpected happened. Officer Meekins barged in on you. When asked to show your ID card, you pulled a knife on him. However, Officer Meekins panicked, and the white coat you were wearing was soiled with blood. A bloody white coat! You couldn't just walk out like that, so you hid the coat in your locker. Not bad, partner. Now then, Officer Marshall, are you ready to tell us the truth? Looks like I underestimated y'all. I hope you're happy now, Mr. Edgeworth. 2 years ago, if you were only half as persistent then as you are today, we all wouldn't have to be here now would we? Officer Marshall, tell the court what you did. All of it. All right. Seems the time has come. The Marshal's confession. I had to do it that day. I just couldn't stand by and let it die. I stole the detective's ID and dressed like him. I planned to take out the evidence. I wasn't expecting Officer Meekins. I knocked him out and managed to escape. I knew which areas couldn't be caught on camera. There wasn't any murder in the evidence room at 5:15. So, the supposed victim was really you! But there's one thing I still don't understand. Traces of a large quantity of blood were found on the floor of the evidence room. If no one was murdered, then how could that be? Officer Meekins managed to cut his own hand. My guess is he's the donor. It was way too much blood for such a small donation. Yeah, I don't know. When you say it, you mean...
Do you even have to ask, partner?
The SL9 incident. 2 years have passed since that case is closed. I was going to completely end with the transfer that day.
Not if I have anything to do with it. That incident's not over.
But what did you hope to accomplish by sneaking into the evidence room?
When a case is closed, only the case lead detective can look through the evidence. I wanted to have a look at it myself one more time, no matter what the cost. I don't care what anyone says, partner, that case is mine.
But Officer Marshall wasn't in charge of that investigation. What does he care so much about it? Because Neil Marshall was killed in the killings.
That day was my last chance. That's why
See, what this doesn't explain is the insulator, right? The glove jamming the lock. Was that just there by chance? What would he have done if he had just gone to the... Because he didn't know about the locks, so if he had just gone there thinking, oh, I'm just gonna open up the locker and boom shakalaka, it's just gonna open like magic. What was his plan then if it didn't open? Why did you disguise yourself as Detective Goodman?
If I didn't make it look like Goodman was carrying out the evidence transfer, I'd be arrested for stealing evidence, which wouldn't get me anywhere.
So you did it to fool the security camera. I mean. Sorry. My voice went a bit variety there. And the detective's ID card!
I stole that the morning of the incident.
So that's really why Goodman started filing out that lost item report.
I returned his ID card. I left it on the floor in the prospector's office parking lot.
The ID card I found was left there by Officer Marshall. So essentially, you managed to succeed despite your lack of foresight.
What do you mean? What do you mean, partner?
I mean the fingerprint-activated lock, of course. No matter how well you disguise yourself, you can't change your fingerprints. Under normal circumstances, you wouldn't have been able to open that locker yourself. But he could, just because a rubber glove happened to be stuck on the door? That means Detective Goodman must have opened the locker before Officer Marshall.
Huh. I wasn't expecting Officer Meekins.
You pulled a knife on Officer Meekins and tried to drive him off?
Let's just say I was a little surprised. I only planned on being in the evidence room for no more than 5 minutes. I didn't think anyone would actually come in during that short time.
Officer Meekins certainly is a one-in-a-million type of person, mistaking a detective for an intruder and demanding to be shown his ID. I'll have to think a little more about his raise this year. When did Edgeworth get so much influence? He doesn't. He actually has no influence. He just walks into the fucking police department, looks at Damon Gant, and is like, Chief Gant, you better do not grant this piece of shit detective a raise this year because he failed me. Oh, okay, Edgeworth, just, please, you're scaring me. Please, just, I will give him a raise, okay? It's fine. It's all about the intimidation factor, okay? Talk softly and carry a big steel samurai action figure.
Anyway, he threw himself at me and I ended up cutting him slightly. I'm sorry it had to turn out that way. With me knocking him out and everything.
By the way, what happened to your knife?
Oh, you mean this one?
I don't know what to say. Huh, so you knocked Officer Meekins out and
managed to escape.
So you did your research beforehand.
Those who go into the desert unprepared don't live long, partner. I didn't think it would make a difference, though. Security tape is raised every 6 hours. If all had gone to plan, no footage would have been left.
However, you bloodied your coat in the struggle with Officer Meekins.
Someone was in the security room when I came out. The jig would have been up. I opened my locker and stushed it in there.
What was Officer Meekins doing during that time?
What else? He was sleeping like a baby.
So, what you're saying is, on that day... But the blood found at the scene certainly indicates a crime took place.
What are you, blind? The victim shown in that tape is me, and I'm not dead yet, partner.
So you stole the evidence from the locker?
Actually, no, I didn't.
Why not?
Well, I opened the locker. The evidence was already gone.
Oh, shit! And, of course, if we take a look at the court record, right, the only person that we know who could have taken it is 777-7777, who I have reason to believe is Gant. What? Mr. Edgeworth, where is that evidence?
It's still missing, Your Honor.
That can't look good for the department. Detective Goodman's locker is already empty. Someone else stole the evidence? Officer Marshall, may I ask you one thing?
Fire away, partner. It's a free country. Just remember, I'm also free to decide whether or not to answer.
Why did you do this? Stealing a detective's ID, injuring a police officer? This is no small offense. Moreover, you're an officer yourself. This will have serious consequences. It can't just be forgiven with a simple cut in salary. Although believe me, that will happen. Not that salary cuts are ever a valid solution?
Like I said, this isn't your case. This one is mine. And I'll do anything it takes to get an answer I'm satisfied with.
The witness has been an unusual amount of zeal. Let's hear more.
I can't just forget the SL9 incident. You know why?
I do. But that case was solved 2 years ago, wasn't it? That's the reason the evidence was stored in the evidence room. Joe Dark was convicted for those crimes. One thing I can say for sure is he deserved his sentence. I remember the Joe Dark case. It involved serial murderers, didn't it?
I don't intend to complain about how it turned out, but there's something that still bothers me. Something went down at that trial. Something no one will talk about.
Oh, what happened?
I don't know. That's what I'm trying to find out.
Why is he so concerned with that incident? Maybe I should present him with what I think is the real reason is? I had a feeling you'd wind up here sooner or later. Everyone involved here is related in some way to that case. I better take another look at the files. Yep. I should shove it in his face. Objection! Officer Marshall, I think I understand. I think I know why you care so much about the SL9 incident.
Sounds like you've been sipping too much cactus juice, partner.
I have the SL9 incident files here. The name Marshall is mentioned here. In a list of murdered victims. Neil Marshall. Are you related to this man?
Neil Marshall. Yeah, I'm sure you've heard the name. 2 years ago.
Who's that?
He received the same lousy prosecutor's award you got.
What? A prosecutor? He must be talking about the King of Prosecutors Award? Now remember, Prosecutor Neil Marshall. He handled the SL9 case before I did, and he was murdered.
That's right, he was killed, and the case fell into your hands.
But what's his relation to you?
He was my brother.
Oh, hats off.
He was investigating the murder with Damon Gant and then the then Deputy Chief of Police. The group of detectives I was part of worked under them. We were desperate to prosecute the killer. Joe Dark. My brother thought Dark was killed. That was the first time Dark left behind any evidence. That was all we needed. He was arraigned and incarcerated. The case finally closed. At least according to the public records.
What do you mean?
My brother couldn't have been killed by Joe Dark. I knew my brother better than anyone. No one could have beaten him in a fight.
And that's it. That's your reason for your insane actions? That your brother lost a duel?
There's more to my brother's death than what records say. No matter how much you try to hide it, you can't fool me.
Well, at least one thing's for certain. Now we know what happened at the police department on the day of the crime. That was the last day the SL9 case could be reopened. Not satisfied with their resolution, Officer Marshall planned to steal the evidence. Disguising himself as Detective Goodman, he entered the evidence room. Officer Meekins confronted him, so he rendered him unconscious and fled. Yes, this mystery has finally been cleared up. No murder took place at the police department that day. The things that happen by chance never cease to amaze. At exactly the same time, the murder at the prosecutor's office, this fake murder was going on at the police department. Chance? It's gotta be more than just that. So, if no one was murdered at the police department on the day... Let me check something, actually. 30 minutes by car, you say, right? 30 minutes before the crime, that's when Edgeworth was there. Yeah, that makes sense just based on the timetable that we saw, because the crime happened right after Edgeworth got back to the prospector's office. So that makes sense, right? Shit. That means the murder in the prosecutor's office parking lot was the real one! Which in turn means only one person could have committed the crime. Chief Prosecutor Lana Skye. But wait, a verdict wasn't reached in yesterday's trial. Which is why we examined the incident at the police department today. But there's only one reason the defendant was not convicted yesterday. There yet remained the mystery of the simultaneous murder at the police department. It seems to me this boy's got the draw on you, partner. All of the mysteries of the police department have been resolved, no doubt about it. A sole murder took place at the prosecutor's office. The only suspect is Lana Skye. And the testimony of one Miss Angel Star is completely incontestable. If you have a response, make it a single word or less. Now draw. That's perfect. That is honestly perfect. And the bow.
I rest my case.
It seems this trial has reached its conclusion. There's no room for doubt.
Well done, Mr. Wright. Thanks to you, I didn't even need to waste my time disproving the alleged murder at the police department.
There's no doubt what I proved today is true. The apparent murder on the security camera's tape really was fake, but I didn't realize that would end up proving Lana's guilty. Right, you've got this all wrong. Don't talk about about how much blood there is at the police department. Talk about how little blood there is at the prosecutor's office. Or is this where Emma is gonna come in and save the day? Now then, the time for the verdict has arrived. This court finds the defendant... hold it! I thought it was gonna be an objection. There she is! Hey! Your Honor, wait! Emma! The defense is an objection. A scientific objection. Right? What do you mean, right? Tell him, Diane! You too! Mr. Wright, are you this girl's guardian? Your Honor, oh, in a sense. Please, Your Honor, all I'm asking is for a minute of your time. Please hear me out. Mr. Edgeworth, please. I don't want to leave any loose ends. You want a minute? I'll give you 3. Oh, how generous, Edgy. I love you so much. See, that's what I like about Edgeworth. Even if it's because of his pride, he's like, he legitimately wants to find the truth at the end of the day. You know, if there's a chance that this is wrong and Emma has evidence that, you know, to prove Lana's innocence, he wants to hear her out. So he can then absolutely destroy it with his updated autopsy report. That's another story. It's the thought that counts. I was kind of in shock. I mean, finding out the SL9 incident referred to the Joe Dark killings. Now that she mentions it, the names of both Sky Sisters were on that file. But that's when I figured it out. I mean, what Officer Marshall was trying to do on that day. So I knew his fingerprint had nothing to do with the crime. That left only one thing. The other handprint. You mean the traces of blood found in Detective Gumshoe's locker? But no fingerprints were found on it, right? No, but I figured if I examined it scientifically, I'd be sure to find a clue. So I ran over there and looked at it. So, did you find something? No. Huh? Sorry, I guess I'm not much of a scientific investigator after all. Is that all? Please don't be mad. I'm just a high school student. And I'm just an attorney. But, Mr. Wright, those traces of blood are the only clue we have. If we can find something wrong with them. Please, Mr. Wright, you're a professional. If anyone can save Lana, it's you. Me? Oh, boy. Time's up! Now then, Mr. Wright, with regards to the incident at the police department, does any reasonable doubt remain? It appears the defense is troubled by the blood mark. Looking at the floor plans, a handprint was discovered around here. Is there a problem with this? Mr. Wright, I'm sorry I can't be of more use, but still, if you can find anything wrong with the blood mark, Lana will be... Please answer my question, Mr. Wright. We don't have all day. Actually, can we see that in the video? The Badger covers it, but important thing to note here, right? Look at when he doesn't have bloody hands at this point. Nor are they gloved. Which means he didn't leave the fingerprint right there. And when he leaves, he doesn't even go by that locker. He doesn't even come near to it. In other words, that bloody handprint either was placed there after this whole exchange, which doesn't make sense because there are no other logins after it, or it was there since before. There it is. There's the contradiction. Yes, Your Honor. If ever I needed to concentrate, it's now. What could be wrong with the handprint in Detective Gumshoe's locker? Could there be something I'm missing? Of course there is. This handprint left at the crime scene clearly shows a contradiction. The only thing that seems clear is your grasping, Mr. Wright. You've been staring pretty intently at those floor plans. Tell me, is there a problem with them? Yeah, this is strange. Take a good look at these floor plans. Something is missing. Missing? You mean something wasn't being drawn on there? Yes, something that, when drawn, will completely change the meaning of the bloody mark. Let us pray the defense isn't simply trying to buy time. Very well, Mr. Wright. With all this evidence here, there's gotta be something I can use. The question is, which item can prove something is missing in the floor plan? The Badger. Take that! What about that piece of plywood? Hey, pal, don't go insulting my piece of plywood. The Blue Badger, mascot of the police force. Defender of truth, guardian of proof. Explain yourself, Mr. Wright, and please, stop acting like Detective Gumshoe. I get enough of that every day. Hey, pal, it's not nice. Please look at the floor plans of the crime scene. The Blue Badger is not here. So watch what happens when we put him in. This is where he was dancing at the time of the crime. Well, what? That's right. So long as the Blue Badger is dancing there, it would be impossible to place a print at this spot in the locker. What? Hold on a second. So that means, just exactly what does that mean? Wait, but doesn't he go behind him? Oh no! For some reason I thought he crossed behind the Badger. No, I'm wrong. Okay, proceed. Yeah. Okay, Phoenix, you're right. It means it can't be done. What are you saying? Blood traces were undeniably found on that locker. Now look at me. I didn't put it there. Mr. Wright, think through it scientifically. Emma. On that afternoon, Officer Meekins was the one who brought the Blue Badger to the evidence room, right? After he put it down, it would be impossible to leave a handprint on that locker. So that must mean this blood mark was left there before the Blue Badger was brought in? And just one moment, I will not allow such a far-fetched balderdash in my courtroom. It may sound far-fetched, Your Honor, but it's the only possible explanation. Holy shit! It might actually be my theory that the murder took place at the police department and then the body was stuffed in Edgeworth's car. On February 21st, in the police department's evidence room, blood was spilled not once, but twice. But how? One time was captured on this tape, taken with a security camera. Officer Meekins cut his hand from which a tribal amount of blood fell. The problem is the other time. Someone bled prior to the struggle shown on this tape. It had to have been Detective Goodman when he was really murdered. That's ridiculous. I refuse to accept your absurd claim. The murder portrayed in the security tape has been proven to be fake. However, that does not explain the blood mark found on its locker. So then, assuming this murder you purport really happened, when did it take place? I demand you show evidence that proves when it occurred. When did the first evidence occur? To summarize, the defense's claim that prior to Officer Meekins being cut by Jake Marshall, who was posing as Detective Goodman, another incident took place in the evidence room. That's right, the blood mark on the locker proves this. Very well, then tell us, when did this first incident occur? As Mr. Edgeworth said, proof must be presented. Proof that shows when the murder took place? It's only one piece of evidence that can show that. Now then, will the defense please present this evidence? What shows the first crime took place? The ID card record. If the crime took place inside the evidence room, the killer would have had to enter it, and in order to do so, an ID card would have been required. An ID card? Oh, the ID card record! Officer Meekins brought the Blue Badger panel into the evidence room at, let's see here, 4:50 p.m. If the crime took place before that time, then it would be 4:40 p.m. Miles Edgeworth? Just what have you done? I never would have figured you had the nerve, boy. Drop the act, witness. It doesn't take a lot of thought to figure out I couldn't have been me. Huh. No, I ain't getting it. I'm afraid I don't understand either. It's clear from the luminol test that blood was there. However, when the second crime took place, both Officer Meekins and Officer Marshall failed to notice the blood. That means the blood from the first crime was wiped away by the real murderer. I would have just had 10 minutes to murder the victim, carry his body away, and clean up the blood. Unfortunately, that's physically impossible. That would mean the crime must have taken place before Mr. Edgeworth entered the evidence room. Let's look at the chart again. There's only one other card number remaining. 777777. 7 times.
Talk about a lucky number.
But wait, that doesn't make sense. How could Detective Goodman have entered the evidence room? Since there's no record of his card being used beforehand, he must have entered along with the real murderer. That's the only plausible explanation. He went in with 7777777. Mr. Edgeworth, please look into this ASAP. Find out whose ID number is 777777777. That's 17 too many, Your Honor. Unfortunately, I'm unable to look up the owner of that ID card, at least at present. What?
Explain yourself, son.
The ID number 7777777 belongs to someone with the rank of captain or higher. Someone who is a so-called executive officer. We don't have the authority to inquire into such a person's identity. But that's ridiculous. Just how? Just subpoena that bitch! I'm not finished talking, Mr. Wright. There is one situation in which we can be granted such authority. If an official charge filed against an executive is accepted. An official charge?
You're all alike, aren't you? With your cover-ups and your forgeries.
Now that's the prosecutor's office operates. I take pride in my work, Officer Marshall. I would appreciate it if you keep your slander to yourself.
Slander, is it? Okay. Let me ask a question.
Yes?
No, not you. To her, the defendant sitting over there. Your own little executive.
Lana? Don't be stupid. She's been charged with murder. Of course we've looked up her ID number. And it's not 7777777.
Don't play me for a fool, partner. That's not what I want to ask. All I want to know is one thing about that incident.
The SL9 incident?
Answer me this, Chief Prosecutor. In that trial 2 years ago, did you really only use legitimate evidence?
The plot thickens! Do you need the witness to repeat its question, Chief Prosecutor? I heard him fine, Mr. Edgeworth. 2 years ago, I was in charge of the prosecution for that trial. At the time, occasionally, we felt the powerlessness of the law. At last, I did. Huh? Lana! I became a prosecutor in order to suppress crime with the law. But before I realized that we were the ones being suppressed by the law. Defendant, just what are you talking about?
I'll ask you again, Chief Prosecutor. During that trial 2 years ago, did you really pretend all that evidence in court? Can you look at me, an investigator in that crime, in the eye and say that you did?
Chief Prosecutor, you didn't! I don't have to, Officer Marshall. Why won't you answer him? Drastic crimes require drastic measures. That's just the way it is. We did what we had to do in order for him to get the verdict he deserved. But Lana, even if it involved forging evidence. It's just like Turnabout Goodbyes. With Edgeworth admitting to a crime from the past. See? That's what I'm talking about. No. No! What the fuck is going on here? Order! Lana's remarks caused such a stir the chaos in the courtroom could not be quelled. The conclusion would have to wait until the following day. Woo! Interesting. Very interesting. To be continued. Woo! Well, that's exciting. Damn. Oh, shit. I didn't want to come in here. Whatever. So, yes, fuck, that's interesting. Okay, so we figured out that Marshall was the guy dressed as Goodman, but yes. 7777777 is most definitely Chief Detective Gant. Chief of Police Gant. What an asshole. Let's drag his ass to court. But yes, that's gonna do it for this episode. We'll pick that up next time. I don't want to do any of these really long outros if I don't have to. But yes, thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And by the way, if you're a fan of anime, visual novels, or murder mysteries, you should come check out our Persona 4 Golden streams every Sunday at 3. Fantastic game and really fun streams. Come in the chat, hang out with us, or if you just want to hang out, Discord link down in the description. So yes, see you next time.